Shelby Stanga, better known as the Swamp Man, was one of the wildest and most unforgettable faces on X-Men. Fans loved his fearless energy, his outrageous stories, and his deep connection to the Louisiana swamps. But behind the laughs and larger-than-life personality, Shelby carried secrets and controversies that almost ended his career and his life. Rumors of his death, shocking arrests, and tragic events surrounding fellow cast members only fueled the mystery. Was Shelby a fearless survivor, or a man cursed by the dangerous world he thrived in? Let's dive into the untold story of the real Swamp Man. Shelby Stanga's story begins in New Orleans, Louisiana, where he was born on January 1. Growing up without a father figure, Shelby leaned heavily on the swamps and forests around him, finding a strange kind of freedom and danger in the wilderness. By the time he was 16, while most teenagers were chasing normal jobs, Shelby was diving headfirst into the world of logging. He wasn't just doing it for money, he was addicted to the thrill. The swamps were his playground, and he quickly gained a reputation as the guy who could pull off dangerous jobs no one else would touch. Whether it was hauling out massive, half-rotten logs buried in mud or wrestling with swamp creatures, Shelby saw it all as part of life. His adventurous lifestyle didn't just toughen him up, it created the raw, eccentric character fans would later come to know on television. Even before TV cameras arrived, locals spoke about the wild man of the swamp who had stories that sounded too insane to be true. But for Shelby, the swamp wasn't just home, it was survival, and soon that survival instinct would turn him into something far bigger than he ever expected. Shelby's first taste of television came in 2000, when he appeared on Man vs. Wild. Even in that small role, his magnetic personality stood out. Producers noticed the wild Louisiana logger who spoke with raw honesty, cracked outrageous jokes, and lived the kind of life most people could hardly imagine. By 2008, Shelby had landed a permanent spot on the History Channel's X-Men. The show followed logging crews across America, but Shelby immediately became a fan favorite. Viewers couldn't get enough of his eccentric swamp lifestyle, his unpredictable behavior, and his over-the-top tales of gunfights, snapping turtles, and sunken treasure. Unlike other cast members who took a more straightforward approach to logging, Shelby turned every episode into an adventure. He wasn't afraid to get messy, take risks, or bend the rules if it meant dragging up logs worth thousands of dollars. His catchphrases, his laugh, and his wild energy gave X-Men the unpredictable edge that kept people watching. But while Shelby's fame skyrocketed, not everything behind the scenes was smooth. Money disputes, creative clashes, and growing controversies soon started building up. And eventually, the wild man of the swamp shocked everyone with a sudden decision no one saw coming. After more than 10 seasons and over 160 episodes, Shelby suddenly disappeared from X-Men. Fans were stunned. For years, he'd been the highlight of the series, so when he announced he was leaving, rumors spread like wildfire. Many believed his health had failed. Others thought the swamp had finally taken its toll. But Shelby set the record straight. The real reason was money. According to him, the network failed to honor the pay deal they had promised, and he refused to keep working under those conditions. It wasn't illness or injury, it was business. Without Shelby, ratings began to slip. His unpredictable antics and larger-than-life personality couldn't be replaced, and the producers eventually realized the show wasn't the same without him. In 2018, they brought him back in a spin-off called The Return of Shelby the Swamp Man. Fans celebrated, thrilled to see him once again diving into the mud, battling swamp creatures and pulling up valuable sunken logs. But while Shelby was back, something else was happening outside the cameras. Strange rumors began to swirl online, claims that the Swamp Man had met a dark and tragic fate, and these rumors would explode into full-blown chaos. When Shelby returned to TV, it didn't take long before the internet began buzzing with disturbing headlines. Articles claimed he had been killed in a logging accident. Others suggested he'd been bitten by a venomous snake or dragged under by a snapping turtle. Some even speculated about a fatal on-set incident covered up by producers. Fans panicked. The loss of other X-Men cast members had already been very real, so the idea that Shelby had joined the list of tragedies hit hard. Social media filled with posts mourning him, while others demanded answers from the History Channel. Finally, Shelby himself had to step forward. He admitted he had been in a serious accident, but he was very much alive. While he didn't reveal all the details, his public reassurance was enough to calm most fans. Still, the damage was done. The constant swirl of fake death stories made people wonder just how dangerous Shelby's life really was, and whether the show itself was covering up more than it revealed. But Shelby wasn't the only one surrounded by dark rumors. In fact, several of his fellow cast members would face real tragedies that shook the show forever. X-Men wasn't just a reality show, it became a series haunted by real loss. Jimmy Smith, owner of S&S Aqua Logging, was one of the first major cast members to pass away. He died in 2012 after a long illness, leaving fans devastated and his son James struggling with the family business. Then came Bart Colantuono, a veteran helicopter pilot who tragically lost his life in 2013 during a crash while transporting logs. His sudden death stunned viewers, as he had been known for his skill and precision. In 2016, Gabe Reigard, another beloved figure from the show, was killed in a car accident at just 45 years old. The shocking news hit both fans and the logging community hard, especially since he had been a key figure in his family's business, and in perhaps the most haunting case, logger Van Huffman vanished while working and was later found dead. His disappearance sparked fear and fueled accusations that the show was pushing loggers into unsafe, reckless situations for the sake of drama. With so many losses in such a short time, fans began to wonder if Axemen was cursed. But Shelby wasn't just linked to tragedy, he was also at the center of controversy himself. While many saw Shelby as a lovable wild man, his unpredictable lifestyle occasionally crossed legal lines. In 2014, he was arrested after cutting down a cypress tree on land that didn't belong to him. What Shelby considered just another day in the swamp turned into felony theft charges, with neighbors furious that he had taken state-protected property. Though the case didn't end in long-term consequences, it showed a different side of the swamp man, reckless, impulsive, and unwilling to play by the rules. For some fans, this only added to his legend. For critics, it confirmed their belief that Shelby was too wild to be trusted. Beyond legal troubles, Shelby also faced backlash for the way Axemen portrayed logging. Environmentalists accused him, and the show as a whole, of glorifying the destruction of swamps and habitats. But through it all, Shelby rarely commented publicly. He seemed uninterested in defending himself, preferring to stay in the swamp, doing what he had always done, logging. And while his controversies made headlines, behind the scenes Shelby was living a much quieter life with his family, far removed from the chaos of TV cameras and internet rumors. Away from the cameras, Shelby's life looked very different. He married Donna, a woman who shared his love for adventure and patience for his wild personality. Together they built a life near Lake Pontchartrain, raising 2 children, mostly out of the public eye. Unlike many reality stars who embraced fame, Shelby preferred the quiet of swamp living. Instead of luxury cars or mansions, Shelby spent his nights in hammocks or sleeping bags, often camping by the water where he worked. Even with an estimated net worth of $2 million, he lived simply, sticking to hunting, fishing, and logging. Donna occasionally joined him on adventures, proving she could handle the unpredictable lifestyle that came with being married to the swamp man. For fans, this glimpse into his personal life showed that Shelby wasn't just a TV character, he was the same man off-screen as on. Despite the controversies and brushes with the law, his family stood by him, and Shelby never seemed tempted to trade his swamp life for fame. But while he avoided Hollywood glamour, he never truly left the public eye. Fans continued to follow his story, curious about where the swamp man would go next. Today, Shelby Stanga remains one of the most unique figures to ever appear on reality TV. While the cameras may not follow him daily anymore, his reputation as the wild swamp logger lives on. He still dives into the murky waters of Louisiana, pulling up ancient logs worth thousands, not for fame or television, but because it's what he loves. On social media, Shelby occasionally shares glimpses of his current life, muddy boots, sunken logs, and that same mischievous smile fans remember. His authenticity continues to draw attention because in an industry filled with scripted drama, Shelby was always unapologetically real. His journey hasn't been without controversy, loss, or setbacks. But those very struggles made him the legend he is today. To many, Shelby represents something bigger than logging. He's the symbol of living freely, embracing danger, and refusing to compromise who you are. Fans still wonder if he'll ever make a full comeback to television, but Shelby seems content where he is, in the swamp surrounded by the land that shaped him. Whether he returns or not, his legacy is secure. He isn't just a reality star, he's a living myth, the swamp man of Louisiana. Shelby Stanga's story is one of survival, controversy, and authenticity. From his childhood in the swamps to his rise as a TV legend, he's lived a life few could ever imagine. Alongside fame came rumors, tragedies, and headlines, but Shelby has always stayed true to himself. Even now, he remains the same swamp logger, uninterested in luxury or fame, but unforgettable to those who watched him. Whether he returns to television or continues quietly in Louisiana, Shelby's legend is already sealed. He isn't just part of Axemen, he is its heart, its mystery, and its enduring wild spirit.